Good morning to wherever you are. This is your Java Man, and welcome to Java Central. Welcome to the first episode of Coffee Around the World. That's where we go on this internet flight, take a trip over to whatever country we decide to go to, and explore the wonderful world of coffee within that country. Today we have Italy. So Italy has a long history of coffee. Started off initially in Venice, the little port city, you know, where they do the little gondolas and the accordions on the water boats and everything. There. They did their coffee that was imported from Egypt from the Arabs. Now, initially these people thought, oh, that's heathen. That is heathen. If it is drank by the Muslims, we can't do it. Because, of course, Italy is super Catholic. Now, Pope Clement VIII, which just happened to be the Pope at the time, got whiff of it and thought, you know, I'm going to try out this coffee thing. It can't be that bad. And apparently, he liked it so much, he went and 180'd it and said, this isn't a heathen drink, this is a Christian amazing drink. And thus became the wonderful world of coffee in Italy. And because of Pope Clement's change in 1683, Venice made their very first little cafe selling out coffee. Now, coffee in Italy is typically made in espresso. Now, if you're not sure what espresso is, it is these little condensed shots of coffee where you pack in the coffee grounds really tight and you force water through it, making a very strong, very flavorful, and very just knock you in the face cup of coffee. This was not the first cup of coffee they had, though. They had cafes first. But there was some Italian businessman that was tired of his workers taking too long of a coffee break. And so he decided he was going to force this water through this tightly packed coffee, these tiny shots of it, and thus became espresso. Now, the thing with coffee in Italy is there's more than one way to do it. They have multiple ways. First is the Americano, where you mix water with the espresso. It makes a really nice cup of coffee. It's not as strong. It's not like it'll punch you in the teeth. It's pretty easy to work with. Next is the macchiato, which is espresso with a little bit of steamed milk. It's not a whole lot, but it gives it a nice creamy flavor to it, helping bring out the flavors within the coffee along with the creaminess of the milk. Now there's the cappuccino as well. They do a little bit of more hot steamed milk with the espresso, and that's where you see all this coffee art just popping up everywhere. It's with these cappuccinos. Cappuccinos are wonderful, and they're not quite as strong as a macchiato because of the more milk, but it's still absolutely delicious. Last but not least is the cafe corretto, which is where they get you espresso, put a little liquor in it, and you have essentially a morning hangover cure if you just have a little bit too much of that wine to drink, which I have an interesting story with this. When I got married, we went to Italy, we went to Rome, and we went to this little cafe right behind the Pantheon. It was great. And I got a cappuccino because I knew what I was getting myself into. I know what a cappuccino is. My wife, however, had no idea what was what. I was like, I don't know, just pick that. And then she just happened to pick a cafe corretto. And it sounded cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't know what it was either at the time. And it sounded great. Well, she got it, she took like half a sip of it, spat it out in dramatic fashion, and said, I can't drink this, can't drink this. I was like, oh, come on, it can't be that bad. I took a sip of it. It tasted like if you could mix coffee and licorice. It was rough. I put it down, I slid it away. I said, honey, you do not need to drink this. That is okay. The €2 I spent on this, okay. And speaking of stories in Italy, how the heck are you going to order in Italy if we're on this internet flight over to the wonderful land of Italy? Well, first things first, you're going to a cafe. You're not going to Starbucks, okay? You're not going to your little Java hut, which hurts my feelings a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to a cafe, so you go find a cafe, and you'll probably want to stand up. Sitting in some places will charge you a little extra because Italians like to sit there and linger and talk and just spend hours there. So essentially you would be renting a table. But if you don't want to spend a little extra, potentially, you can go stand up at the bar. Some places they like you to pay even before you order. Sometimes you order then you pay. It really, really depends. But one thing is for sure, do not get a cappuccino afternoon. That is a morning drink. They will look at, don't get me wrong, they'll probably get it for you. They'll think, what the heck is this guy doing? But it's just a morning drink. You usually stick with that in the mornings. And know what you're getting. If you are not sure what you're getting, go with what you know, but don't get a Corretto if you have no idea what it is. Unless you like liquor in your coffee, they have at it. But otherwise, you kind of need to know at least some of the verbiage before you jump in. Now, there were two types of coffee I found interesting that were there in Italy. The two most common, which you can find in the United States, is Illy and Lavazza. Now, first off is Lavazza. This is found in Piedmont, Italy in 1895. These guys, they have a bunch of different types of coffee. They have their K-cups, their single origins, their mixed blends. They even have like espresso ground coffee along with regular ground coffee. I'm not going to go into too much detail with these guys because I want to at some point review them in a review it, and I'll really dive into them then. I just want to give you a good broad idea of how they are. And Lavazza I found really, really interesting. They're like, you know how we have soda machines in the United States? Well, there they have coffee machines, espresso machines, cappuccino machines. And apparently, for like €1 or $2, you can get a cappuccino out of this vending machine. And I only saw Lavazza, and it was awesome. The coffee was okay. The fact that there was a coffee machine, though, was pretty cool. I know I've seen them in pit stops and rest stops in America, but this is a cappuccino machine. Usually when you think cappuccino, you're going to your local coffee house and they're making you cappuccinos there. So I thought that was really, really neat. Next up is Illy. Now this is founded in Trieste, Illy by Francisco Illy in 1933. This coffee is also very interesting. It looks like it's trying to take over the coffee world from what it looks like. They have their ground coffee, whole bean coffee. They have their espresso ground coffee, their K-cup pod things. These guys are even trying to take over the hot drink thing with, apparently they're associated with some teas. They've got their own little creamers and sugars. It's neat. These guys are really expanding how they are making their own drinks, hot drinks. And honestly, I'm okay with it. If you've ever tried Illy coffee, this stuff is amazing. It's very good. It's not cheap, but it comes in this neat little metal tin. So good. So good. Well, I think that is going to end our flight. I know it was a short flight, but hey, this was cheaper than buying tickets to go to Rome. Just saying. So, if you have any ideas of where you want me to take you around the world next for our coffee adventure, throw it in the comments. If you've got an idea for Review It, Will It Creamer, throw it down below. And hey, let's go brew up some love for somebody.